It's random, it's dumb, it's a fire.
Chris Howard. Oh, Jesus. It's good to be here in Saginaw, Michigan, right? You guys are liars. It is not good to be here. They say the grass is greener on the other side. They're totally right. Saginaw is like the prom night dumpster baby of Detroit and Ohio. Everywhere is better than this. Like, I was just in Washington, D.C. recently, right? And it's like they got museums every other block and monuments everywhere. The Cherry Blossom Festival, the trees are even better than here. And then you come back here, it's like all we have is like chalk outlines for people to look at. It's like, look, honey, this guy got hit by a piano before they shot him. Look at that. Get my picture. And the best jobs here are all from the unemployment office. The people with the best ratio to paycheck income. I mean, the unemployment office employs more people than GM in the 70s. That's not good. That's a bad thing here. But while I was in D.C., I did have one really cool thing happen that kind of reminded me of home. And I rode the bus. Yeah, public transportation is always interesting, but this particular jaunt was a prize winner. There was this guy. It was the whole bus was packed like a sardine can, right? And it was, except there was this area in the back, and it was kind of like a booth at Denny's with no table in it. And there was this guy who was sitting there like a king on his dais. And he was a wise king indeed, weaving a tremendous web of bullshit, using the word bitch in ways I had never comprehended were possible. He used it for everything, past predicate nouns, everything. He was like, man, I just got this Mountain Dew and I can't get this bitch open. Can you open this bitch? Don't be a bitch and open this bitch. What was I talking about? A bitch? Oh, yeah. So I was at this party, right, and I was with this bitch, but I was looking for this other bitch, but she was with her man, and he's a bitch. But this bitch wasn't no pussy-ass bitch. She a real bitch. So anyway, I step up in that bitch, and I start talking shit just to see if I can get somebody mad enough that I can smack a bitch when I see my bitch talking to the bitch I came to see. And this bitch is a big bitch. She big like a dude.
Big like a dude?
Yeah, she big like a dude. And she must have got mad because she reached in the wall and grabbed a pipe and she was swinging at bitches left and right. She hit this boy in the back of the head with a brick. We call her Shrek. Oh, but she cute though. That bitch let you call her Shrek? Yeah, she ain't like it at first, but bitch got used to it. That's entertainment. You're not going to get that anywhere else. I don't know. A lot of people say the world is a really awful place. And I don't think so. I think the world is pretty good. It's always changing. That's really about it. It's just changing. We got all this technology now. It's supposed to make our lives better. And I think mostly it does. Except sometimes there's some unforeseen consequences. Like everything nowadays is done through Facebook and text messaging. And Facebook is kind of cool because it lets you keep in touch with your friends and family. You know, people that you wouldn't normally talk to for a while. But it also lets your mom see you smoking out of a water bong that you made out of your old marching band equipment, you know? You got those pictures, just brr. Like, I got a text message from my mom telling me that my aunt died. And I was like, yeah, I know. I was like, oh, Jesus. OMG. Oh, sad face. And then I got the Facebook invite for the funeral, and like half my relatives clicked maybe because they didn't read it. And funerals are weird anyway. I don't like funerals. Funerals are designed from the very beginning to make you feel really awful and powerless. Nobody ever feels good going to a funeral. They make the family show up for the pre-party to make sure they can make you adequately upset before the guests arrive so that the scenery's all set. But I'm just saying, I think about weird things. And I think if you're going to taxidermy your loved ones and stick them in a lobby after you spray paint them and fill them full of dangerous chemicals, I mean, can't we think of something a little bit better than the dressed up and sleepy look? I'm just saying, offer some options. I'd like to see, like, why not dress up Granddad like Thor, fighting a grizzly bear and the thing, Then you wouldn't be so upset at a funeral. Be kind of fun. Give you something to do, You'd show up and you'd be like, yeah, you know what? Fuck that. When I die, I want to be dressed like Indiana Jones. Or Han Solo in Carbonite. That's a no-brainer. Right? None of this taking a nap in my Brooks Brothers bullshit. I would like to dress up in drag just to fuck with people one last time, Come on, kids, take a picture with Dad one last time, Bowl of candy in my lap, dressed kind of askew. Sure, I mean, you know what? And you could even let people come up and touch the body just like we do now, get some pictures and things. And then, you know what? Sometimes people die of a really awful disease and there's like stuff you can take out of them. And you could spray paint that stuff too and have a side attraction for the disease. Why not? Have some fun with it. Spray paint the tumors and make them look like the Ninja Turtles. Hire a juggler, Have a tumor party. Why not? Well, some things are a matter of perspective and context. And I think that the best example of perspective and context is salty raisins. Because everybody expects that shit in trail mix, but outside of that, it's pretty fucking weird. Nobody eats a big bowl of salty raisins for breakfast. I know, I'm kind of weird. I can't let anything go. I have a lot of weird ideas. Anytime an idea comes into my head, I have to really explore it to the fullest, and it doesn't really matter what it is. Like, have you ever thought about the fact that your mother has done gross things with her face and hands? Like, I mean, I know that sounds strange. She's a woman, she's had sex, but I mean, how many brothers and sisters did she gargle before you showed up? Come on. You can make the argument that she's a woman all you want, but I don't want to think about that when my mom's kissing me on the cheek or, touches you on the face with the hand she uses to jerk off your dad or wash her busted old vagina. I don't want to think about my mom taking a load in the throat. Maybe your mom, though. A lot of people say that men tend to end up with women that remind them of their mother. Not me. My mom likes me. Every relationship I've ever been in is like some form of Stockholm syndrome. And I'm pretty sure that at least some of the time I was the emotional terrorist. But sometimes women expect the most unfucking reasonable things. I'll give you an example. I was dating this girl one time, and she was cooking potatoes, and she didn't wash them first. And I know that doesn't sound like a big deal, but I took that like she was trying to get me to eat dirt. And she got mad when I wouldn't do it. She's like, it's being boiled, it's not going to hurt you. I'm like, oh, so now I'm supposed to be okay with eating boiling mud. No! So I wanted her to apologize. But I didn't want it to be a forced apology. But then I realized that all behaviors are learned through force. Nobody ever does anything without any sort of coercion. Even children learning to walk is some form of just a contract where you've got to dangle little toys and cookies and shit in front of them. Come on, Jacob. Who wants a cookie? You can walk and you can get the cookie. You do. You think that maybe if we talk to our children like pets is kind of part of the reason some people grow up retarded? I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea. But this girl was one of those girls that's kind of hot, but she acts like one of the guys, but she did it in all the wrong ways. Like she'd be, I'd come home and she'd be sitting on the couch watching something and just kind of scratching away, hand down her pants, farting and talking about bowel movements all the time, She's like, why don't you find me sexy? Like, you just spent 20 minutes describing a brown crime scene you painted in the toilet bowl. I'm afraid of it. It's like your downstairs sounds like a bad neighborhood during a soccer riot. I don't really want anything. I can't even look at it. I'm like the guy in the Hurt Locker. Every time I go near it, it's like, this could be it! It's like the Middle East. It's just going to explode. Man. So she left right around Christmas too, and Christmas is the worst possible time to leave somebody because the stores are already blasting like the same 12 shitty songs to all these miserable people trying to buy presents for some fat, fucking unappreciative children. You know, right? Yeah. You know, and if you're a manic depressive with homicidal or suicidal tendencies, the holiday season can be downright dangerous. Not just for you, but for everybody around you. You ever go walk through a store and every time the song changes at Christmas time, you see the look on someone's face change to rage just more and more every time the song changes, just tick, 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 like a roller coaster? Oh my God, the guy just standing there. It's like, if I have to hear Christina Aguilera sing A Very Special Christmas one more time, I'm going to take a shit in the Toys for Tots box and I'm going to stab some orphans. Swear to God. But I came up with some ideas to get me through it, and I think that this will help you out a little bit. I think that if I can do anything here to help anybody out during this awful time next season, which, I mean, to be honest, Christmas is really just there to make you feel like you've made all the wrong decisions in life up to this point. And just how did I disappoint my family this year? But I had some stuff. Don't listen to the radio. Not ever. If you're in a homicidal or suicidal state, the radio's a bad idea. Most popular music is chock full of corny, sentimental bullshit that'll just drive you right over the edge. You ever have to pull over on the side of the road because you're crying your eyes out listening to some horrible song like Nights in White Satin? It's downright embarrassing. Have some respect for yourself. And you got to be careful of other people's radios, too. Yeah, you ever pull up next to a stoplight and somebody's just jamming Nickelback? You didn't cause that. It's like driving through a manure field. You can't even roll up the windows. And don't think that your music is any better. You could think that you're being ironic and funny and playing like MC Hammer, Pumps and a Bump, you know? Just blasting it at the top of the thing, and then you see the old people next to you just kind of like, you know, looking at each other. You got to be careful of that. You could kill old people with that. You could. Because old people are always 2 seconds away from it just ending it all. Just killing each other, especially if they've been married for like 50, 60 years. They're just ready to kill each other anyway. And MC Hammer seems like it would just send them over the edge. Just driving along, I told you to roll up the windows. Well, it's not helping. Well, maybe we should have just stayed home. Well, fuck you too. Well, maybe I should just kill us both right now. Well, you don't have the balls. That's it! Don't listen to the radio. It can save your life. And don't drink if you're depressed. Oh, yeah, no, I'm serious. Don't drink if you're depressed. Drinking should be used as a social activity or Tuesday. But if you're on the fence about whether or not to wake up and breathe in the morning, don't drink. That's best decided with a good old-fashioned coin toss. You just come home. Well, let's see. Heads, we get Taco Bell. Tails, we eat lead. Shit. 2 out of 3. So I don't know what your other options are. You go to a support group. Support groups are a bad idea, too. You don't want to go to a support group if you're having problems because you want to go there to talk about your shitty life. You don't want to sit in a queue and listen to a bunch of other bastards talk about their problems. Especially since you're a lot more likely to find people who are way more screwed up than you are. And who wants to compete with that? It's better to go one-on-one with a shrink. Yeah. Because if you got to sit through a support group, the chances are you got to compete with the guy who was so drunk and on drugs that he almost drowned his kid in a bathtub, you know. What an attention hog. It's like he's getting all the good time slots. It's horrible. Look, all right, okay, so I'm going to share something with you here, and I'd appreciate it if you don't judge, which could be hypocritical because I'm already judging all of you, which my therapist warned me about before, saying I should see somebody else due to irreconcilable differences. But she said I had a lot of anger, and she was kind of a bitch, and that's not really what I'm getting at. But the thing about that is when I went to therapy, I really didn't want The problem was they really want you to work on your issues and integrate that new focus into a newfound reality and understanding of the way that the things that you do in your bubble affect the other bubbles of the people around you. And what I wanted was validation that I'm not messed up at all, but the rest of the people are retards that don't understand how special I am. Kind of like Planet of the Apes, only the apes are not as sexy. You know, and if you don't think man descended from apes, trundle around a Walmart for an hour. That'll change your perception right there. You know, so what are your options? You can't go to therapy, you can't drink. You want to talk to your family and friends? Let's be honest. Your family and friends love you, but they would rather listen to a barbershop quartet that only knows Kiss songs for an eternity than deal with your childish nonsense. Speaking of Kiss, does anybody else find it a little strange that there is a touring band of 60-year-old Jews in kabuki makeup and high heels singing songs about feeding their semen to young girls? Lick it up! Eat it like a piece of cake! I think Gene Simmons is exaggerating with that last one. I don't honestly feel that his vas differens, as wonderful as it may be, could sustain the passage of a payload of semen that would facilitate eating it like cake. At least not for sharing. I kind of lost my train of thought on that one. I don't really... So you don't want to listen to Kiss, you don't want to drink, you don't want to do any of that. And the only other option you have is to try and console yourself with some television. And there's nothing on television anymore anyway. It's all these reality shows. It's like My Pregnant Dog or 16 and Cunty. It's, you know, none of this is any good. It's just going to make you cry. It's a horrible, horrible amount of garbage. So you can turn on the news and try to pretend the politicians are not assholes too. You can't do that either. Well, I'm thinking about it. Who's everybody voting for? You're an idiot. And I don't care who you said, it doesn't matter. I know, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. I'm sorry. But clearly, and I don't care where you're at politically, clearly, Obama's got the edge. Because he is cool. He's kind of cool. I mean, there's a picture of him holding a lightsaber on the White House lawn. You know, that's pretty awesome. He looks like a more badass Sam Jackson standing there. And we got Mitt Romney, who looks like a Wayne Newton in a jar of mayonnaise, had a baby and put him in a suit. Hi. You know, I mean, but Obama's cool. He's got the lightsaber. He's doing the stuff. You know, we remember the last time that the black guy in Star Wars got defeated. We got the evil empire and Darth Vader should... No! Do you want that to happen to America? Because it fucking will. Mitt Romney is wearing a black robe in a basement somewhere right now trying to figure out how to shoot lightning out of his fingers. I just know it. No one is that boring. He makes the Osmonds look like crack dealers. Obama came out and he's supporting gay marriage now, and good for him. Yeah. I don't think gay people should get married. I mean, I think they should be allowed to. I just don't think they should. They got a good thing going. Why muck it up? But I'll tell you what, civil unions are the other thing. Everybody's saying, well, civil unions are basically the same thing, but can you imagine being at a restaurant, sitting across from your significant other, and they look into your eyes, and they say, my love, the time we've spent together has been the greatest adventure of my life. I am filled with wonder and excitement for each new day with you. I appreciate the things that you do to make me feel that I mean just as much to you, and I cannot imagine ever not being by your side or to have you by mine. All of this is but a glimpse through the keyhole of a future where everything is perfect. My darling, would you sign here? And initial here. All right, welcome to USCO. But I don't know if there's a lot of resistance to the idea. I understand. They've been planting this idea in our heads for hundreds of years. I don't think it's a coincidence that a stop sign is shaped like an anus and a yield sign is shaped like a vagina. They're trying to plant the idea in our heads. Okay, sometimes when I go for a drive with my girlfriend, I like to blow through a stop sign just to gauge her reaction. But if you're going to blow through a stop sign, you should wax your car first. But one last thing, though. I mean, one last thing on a political note, just because the Republicans do got a shot, but they don't know it because they don't have their hands on the hot button issues. It's like they could attack Obama on his, on the economy or on his tax policy towards alpaca farmers or whatever. But instead, they decided they're going to fight this war on birth control. Yeah, that's way to go on that one. All these illegitimate little, babies from senators, and you're never going to win a war on birth control unless you do some television ads with Sarah McLachlan singing over a pile of wet socks. Just sad abused sperm in a pile of goo, just all these shots of tube socks looking all sad, through the eyes of an angel. So you can't drink and you can't watch the news. You can't go to therapy. So you know what I did? I bought a hate pet. No, seriously. I bought a hate pet, and I think everybody else should do it too. Like, I got a turtle, and when I go home, I come home and I take all that hate and frustration, and I look at that turtle, and I'm like, oh, it's you. Well, I guess you want to get fed now, because that's my life, doing everything for you. You don't have to do anything. You just lay on a rock all day and wait for me to show up and just deliver things to you because you don't got to get a job, even though you said you were going to pay half the bills when you moved in. Fuck you, bitch! And then I feel better. And the turtle doesn't care. They're cold-blooded. That's science. My kids come over and I'm like, don't play with that turtle. That is Daddy's hate turtle. But, play with the dog in front of it, though. Try to make the turtle jealous. Here's another stupid thing. I like it when people mean to say, wait, I forgot. Oh, yeah, now I remember. But instead they say fucking. Like when they're like, hey, remember when we went to the petting zoo? Whose idea was it to feed the goats ecstasy? There was me, you, Carlos, and fucking Andy, yeah! Andy, fucking Andy. But what's even better is when somebody puts it in the wrong spot in a sentence. Like when they're like, dude, I love fucking toast. What? You fuck toast? No, man, I love toast. Well, nobody should love toast that much. God damn. You gotta be careful with that shit. I was with my cousin, and we were walking past a farm one time, and he looked over at the animals, and he was like, dude, I love fucking horses. And he knew what he said the moment he said it. The genie was out of the bottle, and he looked at me, and he's like, you better not tell anybody. And I'm like, you better make peace with the fact that from now on, you're horse fucker, because I am telling everybody. And that never goes away. I introduce him to people now. This is my cousin Al. Everybody's, horse fucker! Hey, everybody, horse fuckers here! Horse fucker! Horse fucker! This one's going to be close to home for a couple of people. Oh, yeah, my nephew's a medic. And so they were going to give him permission to help deliver the baby when his wife got pregnant. And I thought, wow, you dumb bastard. That would be like the mayor of Tokyo saying, I'd like to welcome Godzilla. Because that is, why would you want to sit there with a catcher's mitt, watching on in horror as the last vagina you're ever going to be in is destroyed by a shrieking lizard, Just, I wouldn't do it. That's insane. I don't know why people get so excited about babies anyway. Babies are horrible. Babies are boring. They don't even do anything. The only thing that babies do is excrete gross liquids and make you think maybe $400 is reasonable. But you know what? When babies get a little older, they get to be a little fun. Once they start saying things like biscotti and meat bulbs, then they're kind of neat, and you can get them to do stuff. You can train them like monkeys. And if you get more than one baby, that's kind of fun. That's kind of fun because when you have one, they're just annoying. They're like, can I have ketchup on my Lucky Charms? It's like, oh, fuck. Yes, leave me alone. Daddy's trying to set the record for speed drinking. Rethinking all the things that got me to this point in my life. Little light of my universe, go eat some ketchup and Lucky Charms. But I'll tell you what, there is kind of a cool thing. Like if you have two kids that kind of get really, really entertaining. And I'll give you an example. I got two kids, and I'm going to set the scene for you. It's Christmas morning, and the oldest is 5, and the youngest is 2. And the 5-year-old gets an action figure, and the 2-year-old gets this Fisher-Price nightlight lantern thing. Now, we're sitting on the couch. I'm enjoying a cup of coffee. The 5-year-old opens his toy. He's looking at the action figure. He loves it. He's happy. 2-year-old looks over, sees the action figure. No longer cares about the lantern. He toddles over to his brother, does kind of that midget wrestling run that 2-year-olds do. His brother pushes him up. And he doesn't even cry. His lip just starts quivering. But then he sees the lantern. And he looks at his brother. And he looks at the lantern. He picks it up. Checks the weight. And I looked over at my wife, and I'm like, I think he's going to do it. And before she even knew what was going on, he just kind of... Wow! Wow! Just crying and screaming and bleeding all over, and that was funny as hell! You're not going to get that with just dogs or, whatever. It's a lot better when you have children. Children are great. Except for, little boys are such dicks. My boys, you know what my boys do? They like to fart on each other. Like to get each other back for things. They just fart on each other. And I don't know. I don't think it's funny. And a lot of people give me a hard time because I'm a guy, but I don't think farts are funny. But no, seriously, I don't think it's funny. When you fart, there are particles of feces in the air. And when you smell that, you're tasting it. Your scent glands and your taste buds are linked. That is science. So you got feces in your mouth, and that's not funny. Besides, think about how much bacteria is in feces. And, granted, particles that small, not a lot. But what if you come across a guy with, a really weak immune system? Like you're sitting next to some guy at Chipotle, and you got to let one go, and there's a guy sitting next to you with AIDS. He could die. That's not funny. I don't understand why that makes me a girl. I don't get it. People are like, oh, what's the matter, Abigail May? You don't like biscuits? Here comes the gravy. That's gross. Just call it what it is. It's gross. But that is one of the last bastions of male behavior. But there are some very deeply committed feminists out there trying to stake a claim in the fart game. It's true. And men are really scared about that because that's all we got left. People are afraid of the gender line blurring a little bit. If you don't think men are worried about the gender line blurring, go into every men's room everywhere. There are 2 different kinds of toilets. One for standing and one for sitting because that's how ladies do it. You could just push it all out at once and be more efficient. But no, can't be a lady about it. Not going to be a lady and sit down to pee. Here's another stupid man thing. Brownie points. Anybody else have like a honey-do list where they collect brownie points for things? I know you do. You're married. Right? You get brownie points? Oh, someone's getting some brownie points. You sit through your kids' shitty dance recital and don't make fun of them, or you stay sober through a birthday party or something. You collect these brownie points. You go to Sandra Bullock movies. But the problem is nobody knows the value of these brownie points except for her, and she's not talking. You ever try to cash them in? I used to save them up until I had a shitload, It's like going to a carnival with your mom and you got a wad full of tickets. You just pass them over and you're like, I'm going to get the monster truck and the Charleston Chew. And she's like, well, let's check your tickets. You can get the parachute guy and a Chinese finger trap. And that's it. That's it. I had a bazillion tickets. That's all I got. And brownie points are the same thing. You stay married for a while. You don't ask for anything for a long, long time. And then all of a sudden one day, maybe you have a couple of too many drinks at lunch. And you're just like, baby, I feel through all these years I have proved my love and commitment. Therefore, I would like to cash in my brownie points and take our waitress home. And she says, well, let me check your brownie point balance. Well, you've accumulated enough that I'll forget you ever said that, but not really. And in the car, I'll let you give me a Chinese finger trap. Oh, that's all I get? Seemed like more. I don't know. I don't get a lot of the guy stuff, like tattoos and things. I thought about getting a tattoo once, but then I remembered that I voted for Ralph Nader once, and my instincts really aren't that good. I don't like nice things. I mean, look at my Clay Aiken t-shirt here. I also really like those break-in movies from the 80s. Anybody remember those? Oh, yeah, those were the best. Dance fighting. You remember that shit? Back in the 1900s, there's craze where there was cardboard and parachute pants everywhere, and you could just walk down the street and see people spinning around on their heads, and it was super awesome, And the afterbirth of this was Alfonso Ribeiro and the break-in movies. Now, if you don't know what this was, the break-in movies were this. They go down like this. There were marauding gangs of tough guys. And when they would see another gang on their turf, dance fight. And it was crazy. Nobody ever hits each other. They're just standing up there like that. They get in each other's face like, and then they would act like they got hurt, and then a guy would like spin around and be like, and then the guy would be, sorcery! He would run away. That's my dancing skills, by the way. That's the performance part of it. Speaking of things white people say besides I can't dance, I used to live in a trailer park. Oh yeah, no, I did though. Living in a trailer park was kind of cool because it was like everybody was there in their own disposable house. It was awesome, and it was kind of surreal and kind of bizarre. I mean, and I know that not everybody in the park is there because they want to be. Some people have a lack of options. They're trying to get their GED and get themselves out of it. But then every once in a while, you're going to run into those guys that feed their girlfriend like puppy deworming medicine because they think maybe they won't have to wear a condom for a while. So I didn't really want to meet the neighbors too much. But the wife insisted. So these troglodytes come trundling over, with their 17 children. And then I'm sitting on the front porch with some asshole, trying to have a beer. And he's like, hey, while the ladies are fixing up the tater salad, you want to go play a game of cornhole? Now, apparently cornhole is what rednecks call the beanbag toss. I didn't know this. Because rednecks are famous for cornholing, But I was thinking about it, and I'm like, Good one. He's like, what's the matter? Are you afraid I'm going to be better than you? But then I thought about it for a minute, and I'm like, you know what? I kind of wanted to win, if I'm going to play. So I'm thinking, I bet you he's just going to tear into it like a bag of Funyuns. But I would be all Swayze about it. Put up a pottery wheel and Unchained Melody to his ass, Because I'm a gentleman. I live alone now, except for I have 3 dogs. And it's not how I planned it, I didn't think it was going to end up like... There's not the 3 bitches I had in mind happy to see me when I get home. But the one dog is a black lab. She's a wonderful dog, great dog. She a big bitch. Her name is not Shrek. So I got this dog, but when I got her, she wasn't fixed, and I didn't know what that meant. So when her period was approaching, she's a cool dog for about a week or so, and then, after a while, she's getting kind of irritable. It's like I come home late from work, and she's just staring at me. She'll kick the food bowl over. Bam! Jesus. So then the next morning, I wake up, and there's blood, I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's coming out of the dog, and so I'm like checking her teeth and looking at her ears, and I flip the tail back. Ah! So I grabbed, I got ingenuity, I went and I grabbed a maxi pad, and I grabbed a pair of my son's underwear, and I stuffed the maxi pad in the kid's underwear and pulled the tail through the crotch hole. Voila! Period diaper for my dog. Ha ha ha! Take that, Bill Nye. I'm Mr. Wizard. So then my son wakes up and he sees, it's like, is that my underwear? I'm like, yeah, we're going to let the dog borrow it for a while. He's like, but there's blood on it. I'm like, I'll wash them first. But it'll stain and people will see it. No one's going to see your underwear. If people are looking at your underwear, you shouldn't be showing people your underwear. It's like, what about gym class? I'm like, well, don't wear them that day. Come on, I pay a lot in child support. I can't afford to be buying new underwear when these are perfectly good. Send the kid home, he's wearing the underwear. I'm not even thinking about it, and then I hear this knock. It's like, Mr. Howard, this is Child Protective Services. And I had to think about it for a minute, but then I was like, all right, I know what this is about, guys. Don't worry. The blood on my son's crotch is from the dog's vagina. Not mine. I'm going to leave you guys on one last thing. I got one last thing to help everybody out with, and it's a public service announcement. I'm looking to get some feedback on this. I don't think that people should be allowed to put the N-word in cool songs so that I can't sing along to it. I don't think that's cool. Kanye West, CeeLo Green, you guys gotta stop that now. I'm driving around with my iPod on shuffle, I get to the part in the song, and I'm just like, that's right, she's a gold digger. Just thought you should know, and not saying that, I guess. Shit. Dude, I guess? And it is pretty specific. It's one of those things, and I understand. It's been explained to me before, and because I want to understand, I do. It's been explained to me before. It's like it's not the original word. It's not Nigger. It's Nigga, which is an acronym, and it stands for. Supposedly, it stands for Never Ignorant, Getting Goals Accomplished, which is ironic because that's poor sentence structuring. But we have to call that the N-word as well. We can't say that either, even though it's a positive, not a negative. And I think that's strange. Does that... I understand the whole idea about taking the power out of a word by making it a positive instead of a negative, but can you really do that if it still carries all the same bullshit as the original word? I can't think of any other word that anybody does that with. You never hear anybody go, yeah, I'm not a molester, I'm a molester. Which is an acronym that stands for my only love, except sometimes touching adolescents. But not in a bad way, because that would be a molester. I help them cross the street, get milk. I don't have anything different. I don't have a replacement. I don't know what to do. Nothing that I do is gonna change the world. I think about weird ways to tell strangers about my penis. I'm not gonna change the world with that. Don't say the N-word ever. My penis is weird. Good night. It's not gonna help anybody. But you know what? We do live in a world where the Shaquille O'Neal movie Kazam not only exists, but made $20 million at the American box office. And that tells everyone, truly, anything is possible. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night. It's been fun. Thank you.